I am going to show you the best tip to stop losing proposals to your competition. Of course, my name is Steven Sidner, an author, speaker, trainer, and sales coach. Listen, I, many years ago, was sitting in a particular seminar that had nothing to do with sales, by the way, which is probably a good thing that I was in there. I was learning about exceptional customer service principles, which is what we teach. There was a section in there that when I saw that section that they were talking about, I thought, wow, if I were to put this on the end of my proposals and wrapped up my proposals by summarizing this, this would probably be a game changer. And folks, I've been teaching this for years now. It is the best tip to stop losing proposals to your competition. And it's called the 4 things every customer wants. Now, what do customers want? Well, if you did some research on Google, you may find a million different answers. And here's a couple that I found. One website said that what customers want is they want to be understood. They want you to make them a partner. They want you to protect them from worry and anxiety, and they want to be surprised. Well, that really doesn't connect with me, or probably not you. If you were to put that on the back of your proposals, that really differentiates yourself. So these are good things, but that's not what we are talking about. Other things that you may think customers want, or you may think customers really want value, that's the differentiator, or customer service, or they want you to keep their promise, or quality, or ease of business. And I'm not saying these are important. These are important. But I'm saying these aren't the things that you want to put on the end of your proposal that really connects with them on a human level. So, what are the 4 things that every customer wants? Well, let me share that with you. First of all, this came from a national research, 40,000 customers that were asked what they wanted from companies when doing business. It is part of the exceptional customer service principles that I watched years ago, and then from that, we created an exceptional customer service training for companies. And it in that content, it talks about what are the 4 things every customer wants. And folks, when I saw that, I thought, man, that really connects with me. I bet that will connect with people that create a differentiator between me and my competition. I'm not saying this is the only differentiator. What I am saying is that the 4 things every customer wants that I'm getting ready to share with you are key indicators that every customer connects with because they have an experience with these things, and it's easy, and most likely your competition's not doing this, so you want to jump on it and start using this tool quickly. You would take this tool, the 4 things every customer wants, put it on proposals, put it on your quotes, business cards, put it on the back, put it on your website, Twitter, tweet it. If you're Twitter, you can tweet it out, Facebook, LinkedIn, you can talk about it, but the point is it helps people understand that you understand what they want. So without further ado, here are the 4 things every customer wants. There you go, folks. What do customers want? They want these 4 things. If you just deliver 2 of these things, then you're going to lose your clients. I'll promise you that. So clients need to be told up front that these are the things that are important to them. So let's go through each one of these. 1, listen. 2, pay attention to the details. 3, take ownership. 4, time and money. All right, stay with me. Let's hit each one of these so we can break it down. First of all, when I'm buying products, I want people to hear what I have to say. A lot of salespeople and many service organizations are not listening to what the client wants or what the prospect wants. And listening is not waiting for your time to talk. Listening is learning, it's understanding. Love this cartoon. First one says, "Do you even hear the words I say?" And the next person says, "Yeah, the ones I like." I love that. We have selective hearing, don't we? And salespeople are really bad at this. Want the deal so bad that the very thing that the customer wants the most, we don't give them, which is listening. That's why if you've gone through the 2 meeting close selling system, or you're just now being exposed to it, I show you a structured approach to do in your meeting that makes you the consultant partner problem solver. And consultants are the experts, problem solvers are the people who are looking for problems, and partners are the ones who come alongside that particular person and help carry the load. Well, you can't do that if you're not a good listener. The reason this works when you put it on your proposals at the end is that everybody's got an experience with a vendor that they've done business with that wasn't listening. All right, number two, you want to pay attention to the details, folks. Too many cracks in your service will cause clients to leave even if they like you. Now, this is important because, once again, the people that you're selling to have done business with somebody in the past, a company in the past, that they are not doing business with anymore because they had too many cracks in their service or their delivery or their products, and they weren't paying attention to the details. Now, you see there's a serviceman there, and he's standing at attention. And when I teach a seminar, I have everybody stand up. I have them stand up like a military guy, like this guy that's there, and then they put their hand on their forehead. You do a salute. You know what I'm talking about? And because you can't see me doing it right now because I don't have the video on, but you want to pay attention. That's the visual. Pay attention to the details. And what are the details? Well, lack of communication is a detail. Not fully communicating to the client the expectation and what your delivery schedule is. And then miscommunication creates a lot of problems. How about invoices that are confusing? I can't understand your invoices or even your proposal. I can't understand your proposal. That's why when we teach the second part of the two-meeting close, which is proposal delivery, one of the things that we recommend is a summary that brings all the fruit forward. It's a technique called bring the fruit forward. If you're not sure what that is, then you can grab a copy of that and listen to it. But the fruit is the things that they're looking for in the proposal. So you might as well bring it forward and make sure that you have control of the fruit that they're seeing. We call that executive summary for your proposals or in order to get the deal. Other things, inappropriate dress or not well groomed. If you call yourself a consultant, if you're not dressed like a consultant, that's a little bit of disconnect there. Voicemails that have the automated recording, the automatic recording, or you got to hit too many buttons just to talk to anybody. That's very frustrating. Or your voicemail doesn't sound like it's really engaging and you're ready to help me. Not following up when you say you're going to follow up. Anywhere your client touches your business can and will create a potential client crack. So if you don't pay attention to the details, you're going to lose that business. The reason this is important is that clients want to know that you're going to pay attention to the details. Number three, take ownership. Now this is fantastic because the Belding Group, they're the ones that identified that the single most important factor in creating positive word of mouth is to take ownership in customer service situations. In fact, folks, it was so important that it was 86.7% of the time. The study identified that when we take ownership over the customer service situations, customers are more likely to perceive that you actually care about them and they will stay. How many times have you been in the marketplace buying something and they didn't take ownership? Boy, my sister was telling me a story not too long ago. They were at a dealership and they bought a used car from this particular dealership, and that afternoon the car broke down. And they called the dealership and they wouldn't do anything about it. They just sold this person the car and they didn't want to do anything about it. Well, I can tell you what, my sister and her daughter probably have told a million people about that experience because they didn't take ownership. They didn't partner up with them and make it their problem as well. And that's what customers want. Love this picture. It says right there, I always wondered why somebody didn't do something about that. Then I realized I am somebody. Yeah, so why is this important? Because your clients can relate to this. Your prospects, when you tell them in a proposal that we're going to take ownership and you share a couple examples with them. In fact, speaking of examples, let me give you a couple that you could probably relate to. First of all, have you ever, it's called empathize with a personal journey. So when a customer comes to you because an item they purchase isn't working properly, what do you want them not to say? You don't want them to say that's too bad. You want to let them know you understand their feelings on a personal level. You want to act surprised. That you need to empathize with them because you've probably been in that situation. Nothing more frustrating than buying something, getting it home, and it doesn't work. That is so frustrating. That's probably happened to everybody listening on this particular class right now. Uh, Big frustration. You ever go through a drive-through at a hamburger place and you order fries and something to drink and a burger, and then they give you the bag and you open the bag and they take French fries and put them in their own little bucket or bag, right? And then they put it in the big bag and they turn it upside down. Why do they do that? It's so frustrating. Well, that's not taking ownership. It's definitely not paying attention to the details. And you tell them about it and they look at you like, ah, that's too bad. You don't want to take the easy way. That's another area that customers get very frustrated with. It's way too easy. Just say to yourself that that's a customer problem. It's not mine, and you leave it on their own to solve it. Now, there's a story of a guy that showed up at a Marriott Courtyard only to find out he made a mistake and he had booked his reservation for the following month, not when he needed to show up. And to make matters worse, the hotel didn't have any rooms. Rather than leave him in the dark, the employee immediately picked up the phone and began to search other hotels. And even though it was the customer's problem, that employee made it their problem, and they didn't leave them till they got it solved. Man, that is not only good customer service, that's a good example of taking ownership. Be a resource. People that are not a resource is not taking ownership. So being a resource is taking ownership. You could say, hey, I don't know anything about that, and you send them on their way. Or you could say, hey, let me check and see if anyone else here might know the answer. And that's taking ownership. I remember I like to go to those, big home improvement stores, and I go to the one that's got the blue vest. I used to go to the one that's got the orange vest until two things happened that day. I saw a guy up on a ladder, and I asked the guy on the ladder where a particular thing was, and he didn't even look at me. He just said it's over on the next aisle. So it's like aisle 16. I'm on aisle 1, and I have to go walk all the way to aisle number 16, and I still couldn't find what I was looking for. And but to take ownership, you know what that guy should have done? He should have come down off the ladder and taken me to get what I needed. But I was an inconvenience for him. Well, that's not taking ownership. And the reason I share that with you is because how many of us experience problems like that? So, uh, clients that you're presenting a proposal to, prospects, they need to hear that, hey, you're a person that takes ownership. That's not something that you do, because that's really what they want. The other thing is very frustrating for clients is they don't want you to tell them what you can't do. That sends people over the roof. Don't tell me what you can't do. Tell me what you can do. That's very, very important. And all of us can relate to that. All right. Number one, listen. Number two, pay attention to detail. Number three, take ownership. Number four, now you remember when I told you clients hear the last thing you say. That's why you do it in the order that I'm telling you. And the last thing you say when you're talking to them is, Mr. Customer, we want you to know we remember this is your time and your money. Why is that? Well, there's a research some years ago, I've got it right there, that the relationship between financial success and customer employee variables like customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, they found that depending on the market segment, this was so important. It's between 40 and 80% of the customer satisfaction and customer loyalty was accounted for by the customer relationship between employee attitudes and these customer related variables. Folks, and you could probably relate to this, you want to be recognized. You want your vendors and people you're doing business to have the attitude that this is your time and your money. It's not their time and their money. And how many of us have had the attitude that we are inconvenienced, like the guy that was up on the ladder. What he was telling me is, you know what? This is my time and my money, not your time and your money, that which I pay his paycheck, right? So this is really important in the area of influence and proposal conversion. This is what people want you to tell them. They want you to tell them and then their experience. But here's the deal. Your competitors, if you jump on this tool and begin to use it ASAP, your competitors are not using this tool. So these are the four things every customer wants. These four things: listen, pay attention to detail, take ownership, and time and money. So wherever you are, take your arms out, stretch them out, stretch your arms out, do a little exercise here, and make an ear with your arm. Make a big ear. All right, so that's what? Listen. That'll help you remember what these are. Listen. Now you can stand up out of your chair, and then you can stand up erect like a military guy, and then take your hand and salute yourself in the mirror or salute the person next to you. And remember, that's pay attention to detail. So big ear, listen, pay attention to detail with a salute, and then take your arms, both hands, put it out front, grab something real tight, like I'm not letting go of this. This is mine, and that means take ownership. And then whether you have a watch on or not, you know, it's interesting. A lot of people don't wear watches anymore because we got our, you know, our little computers on our iPhones or Androids. But anyway, whether you have a watch or not, point at the wrist, you would have a watch. Maybe you got a Fitbit there, right? And that's time, and then rub your fingers together. That's money. So point at your watch, time, and then take your hand, rub them together. That's money. That'll help you remember it's their time and their money. So I told you I was going to share a story with you about Mark, who's a local builder. I was doing a seminar at a chamber event. After our first break, Mark came up to me and said, Step, I've got a situation here. I want to know if you can help me. He said he was in his last proposal review with a particular client. He's a builder, multi-million-dollar deal. Now he's the sales rep for the builder, okay? It's not the particular owner. Mark said, I've got one more meeting with this client or prospect. And I said, well, what's the challenge? He said, well, we've been in business this many years. Our competitor that we're competing against has been in the business the same number of years. They have the same certifications that we do in order to do this project. They have the same rating in the Better Business Bureau than we do. They have a great reputation like we do. The financial numbers are about the same. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to say in this next meeting. And I said, Mark, just do this. Here's what I recommend. So at the end of your proposal, make sure you write these on the proposal. Maybe it's above the signature line or the acceptance line, but make sure it's on there on your summary sheet. And put these four things. We're going to listen to what you want. Number two, we're going to pay attention to the details. Number three, we are going to take ownership of your project. And number four, we remember this is your time and your money. Now, just don't let them read that, Mark. This is what I told them. I said, you want to state that and be as human and as relational as you can and sincere. And this will provide an opportunity for you to win this bid. He did that. 2 weeks later, he called me up and he said, Step, I won the bid. It was a multi-million-dollar project. I think it was about $20 million building project or maybe more. And I said, well, what do you think was the tipping point? And he said, well, I'll tell you what the client said. When I asked him, you know, could I ask why you chose us over the other competitors? And they said, Mark, we believe that you understood what we really wanted. Now, they didn't say it was because you said those four things. But here's what I can tell you. The last thing they remember Mark telling them is what? After all that information, can you imagine going through a proposal for a multi-million-dollar building and all the things you got to go through and all the numbers? I mean, it is, and if you don't have attention for detail, it would definitely put me asleep. And people wake up at the end of proposal when you say something like in conclusion. Well, when you say in conclusion, when you're doing your proposal, in with the four things every customer wants. Put it on your PowerPoint, put it on your proposal, put it on your business cards, use it in your marketing, because these are the four things that every customer wants. And folks, I promise, if you will do this, it will give you an edge against your competition, and it will help you close more deals in order to get to the dream income that you've always wanted. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this session. If you need some help, You can find me on www. Our URL is step with two P's upnow.com. If you're interested in the 2 meeting close selling system that's out of our sales meeting mastery course, you can reach out to me at step@stepsidner.com, and we have online courses you can do. We can come on site and do a program for your whole sales team. And I'd love to hear you at least talk about what your challenges are and offer some advice. Until then, go out there and win some proposals.